We'll wait.
Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. It is Friday here on the show. You have made it, ladies and gentlemen. You folks that are sitting in your cubicles, which I know that you are, and you're just sitting there waiting for the boss to leave so you can leave. Not that wouldn't happen at places that I work. No. Telling on the sales team. Anyway, the reality is that it is Friday. You have the opportunity to call into the program today, and you need to explain to me why you think your team is going to win. Like Jerome is asking me what I'm going to do if Clemson loses tonight. The same thing I do when any team loses. I'm going to have some water and go to bed. That's basically what it boils down to. But you're going to have to tell me why your team is going to win. If you're a Kentucky fan and you think that you have a chance against Georgia, I would like to tell me, you to call up and tell me at 803-978-1832 why you think your team is going to win. We'd love to hear that. Also, there are other games that are in the mix today, including we could talk about the Clemson-Syracuse game tonight. I'm going to tell you in a moment why Clemson could lose that game. Now, I know Clemson fans don't want to hear that. They think that, it's been a bye week and the offense is – and did you see Uiagalelei? He was out there after the Boston College game, and he was throwing balls to, graduate assistants and everything else. Yeah, there's that. We'll get into that in a moment. But I also have a couple of other what-ifs for this coming weekend. So we'll get into that in a moment. We'll also talk about, I think it's time, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, that you can say Christian McCaffrey is fragile. He is a very fragile running back. He's been listed as out for the game against the Vikings. Now, it's at a point now where you look at him and think, wow, he's a great talent when he's on the field, but he's not really on the field. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Also, picks against the spread. Joining me in studio today, Mr. Savage College Football. What's up, buddy?
How are you doing today, Rob?
Great to have you with us. We're going to do picks against the spread in a little bit, but I got to talk about my what-ifs first. When you look at this matchup for the Clemson and Syracuse game tonight, on paper, which is always fun, Clemson should dominate this game and win by 14 to 17 points if the games were played on paper, but they're not. There are a lot of things in the mix that can derail Clemson this week. I'm going to give you a couple of them. When you look at Syracuse is, I think, 3-3 on the season. Let me make sure that I give you the exact stuff on that. Syracuse is 3-3 on the year. They're coming in off of 2 straight losses. One of them to Wake Forest in a game where they probably should have won, to be completely honest. When you look at the games that they have played, they won over Ohio. They lost by 10 points to Rutgers. They beat the snot out of Albany. They beat Liberty, which, Hugh Freeze up there. I don't know if he was coaching from the press box again. That may be happening. I don't know. They lost to Florida State by 3 at Florida State. And then they lost by a field goal to Wake Forest. Now they welcome in Clemson. Dino Babers is coaching for his job. We were doing the hot seat thing yesterday, and the reality is that he needs to have a pretty good season. Now, he's got what is called his super seniors, guys who've been in the program for a long time, and they are all jacked up for this game with Clemson. Now, Clemson's went up there before on a Friday night and lost. So the what-ifs that I'm going to give you is, what if that Clemson offense really isn't that good? And if you watch Syracuse, I'm not saying they've got playmakers, but what they've got is that they have got the scrappy thing going for them. When you go out and play them, they don't get blown out. It's none of that happening. It's really not. The reality is the Clemson offense is terrible. There really isn't any other word to describe it. Now, there are folks that think eventually they're going to come out of it. Uiagalelei is going to get his stuff correct, and Justin Ross is going to play well, and Maybe they finally figured out that Kobe Pace is going to be the running back and they're not shuttling in 4 or 5 different running backs. And all of that is true. The defense has been great, but you've got two of the best defensive tackles in the country are not going to play for you tonight. So you've got all of that in the mix. Now, Clemson is 14? I think it's up to 14. I got to check the spread here in a moment. As I look at the spread right now, they're a 13.5-point favorite over Syracuse on the road. Also, you got to think about this. They're playing in a basketball stadium that is dressed up as a football stadium. The Carrier Dome is not exactly the best arena for football. So you could go out there and it feels like you're playing in like a high school environment. It's not like, playing in front of 80,000 folks the last time that they were up with Boston College. It's not like that. So you also have that week off. Hey, it's great to get rested, but are you rusty? And I don't trust the Clemson offense yet. What have they done that's going to make you sit there and say, you know what? I think the Clemson offense can go out there and do something. And trust me, Dino Babers is going to throw everything at Clemson. This is their Super Bowl. That's the reality of it. I know Clemson, generally when they play an ACC team, it is their Super Bowl. But the reality is this. I wouldn't be shocked tonight. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would not be shocked tonight if Clemson went up there and brought home an L. It's not that far-fetched. I don't care that the odds makers say it's 13.5 points. That's the spread. Clemson could drop this game if their offense isn't in check. If you want to respond to that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Also, another what-if scenario. We've got a matchup tomorrow. I keep looking at the Kentucky-Georgia game. And I said yesterday, the reality is that the Kentucky Wildcats is a horrible matchup for them. But I got some help from someone that sent me Georgia's injury list. They've lost defensive back Tyke Smith for the season. He tore his ACL. So when you lose, a starter, that can really hinder you. But the list of guys that are out, Jermaine Burton's questionable. JT Daniels, we have to kind of consider him fragile too. Him and Christian McCaffrey they probably play in the training room together. That's probably what's happening. But they've got a ton of injuries at Georgia. It's really starting to pile up. Let's go out to the phones, 803-978-1832. And welcome to the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Rob, you gooey simpleton. There was a time in this country where you actually had to acquire some form of knowledge about a subject before they just handed you a radio show about it.
Well, explain to me what I have said that has pissed you off today, sir. I'd like to know.
Are you calling Syracuse scrappy? Is that how you describe Syracuse?
How many games have you watched for Syracuse just this year, sir?
Well, I don't generally watch JV football.
No. Answer the question. How many games have you watched for Syracuse this year, sir?
My normal games that I watch that Syracuse plays in, 0, like the rest of the country.
Okay. Well, I have watched 3 of the Syracuse games full from beginning to end, and I'm telling you, in my opinion, they are a scrappy bunch.
Okay. I'm going to allow you to back that up, sir. Please revisit their list of wins. Can you name them off one more time?
Sure. They've got a win over Albany, a win over Liberty, and a win over I got the other one here. Their wins aren't that impressive. I give you that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, hey, my bad. You're correct. Are you said that with a straight face? Are you kidding me?
I said their wins aren't impressive, sir.
I know, but you called them scrappy for those wins.
They are a scrappy bunch. They're a scrappy bunch. Did you watch the game with Wake Forest last week?
No one did.
Okay.
No one.
Well, that's why I'm trying to educate you, man. I'm trying to tell you they are a scrappy bunch.
Yeah, well, it's
not like they're going to go out there and
just
just lay down is what I'm trying to put out there. Look, if you think Clemson's going to roll this week, I tell you what, I'll get my good friend Carolina Jackpot. He will make you a bedazzled Clemson tank top, and we'll send it down there for you. What size do you need?
Extra large, and I would
Extra
love
large.
that
Now,
tank
I'm
top,
sure
by
that
the
you
way.
would. Now, make sure your cleavage doesn't fall out of it.
Well, I've been known to let it fall out once or twice, but
Exactly.
it's fitting that these two teams are playing on a Friday night, like most high school teams are.
I knew
You
that
know,
was
you
coming.
mentioned the bookcase of accountability several times. You do realize Clemson is the same team that you told me that was going to ruin Georgia's season before Labor Day, and
Yep.
here you are picking, almost picking Syracuse to win this game.
I didn't pick Syracuse to win the game. I
You
said
said you wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be surprised. No, sir.
Okay. Well, how the mighty have fallen. God
Are
almighty.
you going to talk about your team tomorrow? Are you going to talk about a list of injuries and tell us how there's no chance that Georgia wins, or where are we going to go?
Well, the one ace in the hole we have is Will Muschamp. He kind of offsets the injuries. So,
is Will Muschamp going to suit up and play in the secondary? Is he going to take over Tykee Smith's spot? Does he have eligibility left? He could probably buy some with the money that he basically stole from Florida and South Carolina. He's got enough money for that.
Hey, no one forced those guys to sign those contracts with that man, but they did it. So, hats off to Will Muschamp's business savvy, if you know what I mean. I think we all could use a little more of that. But Hollywood did say yesterday that Georgia would not cover. Now, bookcase of accountability, once again, this is the same man who told you Georgia was going to lose to Arkansas.
Right.
Georgia winds up beating them 206-0.
Fair.
He also said Florida was going to beat Kentucky on that same day. We all know what happened there. So I just hope he calls in with some more brilliant analysis. Rob, 43-18.
Fair enough, sir. Have a great night. I mean, he didn't tell us what would happen on that. Oh well, we'll see how that works out. But with the list of players that Georgia has that are off here, I'm pulling them up because it's a ton of guys. You've got let's see here, Kenny McIntosh, Tykee Smith, Amir Speed is out, Dominique Blaylock is out, Jalen Kimball is out. So they got a long list of players that are out. Some of them we've known about for a while. There is going to be a question, though, with Georgia. And I bring this up because I don't really think it matters much for the Kentucky matchup. I don't think Kentucky's got the I don't know what term I can use, but they don't have a lot to hang with this Georgia team. But down the line, I wonder what's going to happen when something or some team actually scores on Georgia and they got to play from behind. I wonder what's going to happen there. And it may not be the fault of their defense. It could be their offense shoots them in the foot, but they end up down, let's say, 10-0. And they send out, of course, Stetson Bennett, who is loved by some, but is referred to as a midget, a dwarf, a 4-foot guy, whatever, by others. Even though he's led the team pretty much to that 6-0 start. I know Daniels played in the first game. But the reality, it comes back to this. Do you feel confident? Not in this game, but down the line with Bennett as your quarterback? I mean, do you really feel like, okay, this is the guy that maybe he could take you to a 12-0 regular season because the rest of your schedule is not really that daunting? I don't know if Alabama's that good either. But do you think that he's the guy to get you where you need to go to keep that number one next to your name? Because being an October champion is great. That's great. They don't give you an actual title for that, but it's great. You want to be a champion in January. Let's go back out to the phones. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
How you doing, Rob?
Hey, man. How are you?
I will tell you that's going to happen in 2 weeks when Georgia has to play from behind when Florida score on them and score.
So you think that Florida's going to score on them and they're going to have to figure it out, right?
No doubt.
Okay.
Florida, they will be paying for mine. And in the Mars game.
Hold on. Respectfully, sir, let me ask you this. Why do you think that Florida is going to be able to run on them when no one else has?
Because Florida is Florida. Always. It's always
so the helmet will help the running game. Just that Florida helmet will help them out there. Okay.
Oh, watch.
Okay.
Watch. I don't really think they played a tough running team yet. Somebody can run the ball. Who have they played that can run the ball?
Auburn's pretty good running the ball.
I can't tell.
Well, you couldn't tell because you probably only watched them play against Georgia, and Georgia made them look stupid. But we can go on from there.
Come on now. Auburn haven't played anybody.
That's not an issue of Auburn play. Auburn went to Penn State and played there. It's a top 10 team. I guess Penn State's hot dog water, right?
I don't care nothing about the Big Ten.
Okay.
That's like the ACC to me.
Fair enough. Anything else for
Part
the
one.
program? What'd you say about for tomorrow's game?
Oh, we're gonna win. Ain't no doubt about that.
Well, LSU is not very good right now.
No, they
Not
ain't.
very
But
good.
we got to take care of our business. Hey, we ain't telling them to be that way.
True.
There's a reason why they're not that good, because they don't have a coach.
Well, they're going to remedy that because Ed Orgeron, they may fire him on the field tomorrow if they get blown out. That might happen. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling. Can you? Oh, you want to talk about Beg and Megan? He just
I heard him. Oh, this guy is a ludicrous, big time.
Well, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get him a Clemson tank
If
top.
he don't think Syracuse is gonna play Clemson tough, he don't know that Syracuse. It's tough down there.
I question his knowledge of the game of Hut. I think that he's watched pretty much just Georgia games, and he's probably one of those guys that he's got like an old VHS. It's probably a beta tape, to be honest. Old people know that. It's like a beta tape of the 1980 national championship game. He's probably got that like rolling in the background all the time. And, Blondie's playing in the background and all of that.
Right.
He's probably got that going all the time. I mean, that's pretty much how I see him. But
I'm looking at that to be a tough game tonight. It's going to be a good, tough game tonight.
It should be. Syracuse is, I'm not saying that they're world beaters, but I'm saying I'd be surprised if Clemson went in there and won by 40. Let's just put that out there.
Didn't they take Wake Forest in overtime?
I don't know if it was overtime. They lost by 3 points.
Yes. Okay. I know it was tied late in the game.
Sure. Yep, it was.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, Hollywood. Have a good weekend, man.
You the same.
All right. Next caller. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. Greetings from Syracuse University, man.
Oh, my field reporter. How are you doing up there? I mean, I bet there's tens of people up there at the Orange Dome right now ready to get in.
There is nobody. There isn't.
There's nobody at the Orange. Do they even know they have a football game tonight?
There are actually 4 different cars tailgating. I'm not kidding.
Are they Clemson fans tailgating?
No, they're Syracuse fans. The kids are walking around campus, and we walked around, looked at it, and flew into the Hancock International Airport. I don't know what's so international about it.
Did they have to clear the goats for you to land? What's up with that?
It's different.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually 4 cars tailgating. I could not believe it. And I talked to some of the students. The students say, well, they'll get there about an hour before the game. So students got plenty of time to get liquored up. That's what they said.
What's the, not that it matters, but what's the weather up there, man? Is it hot, cold?
It's about 75 degrees.
Oh, okay. Well, then, you don't have to deal with all that. You don't have to deal with all that nonsense of snow and everything else. That's good.
Yeah. And I didn't know that they actually built a new roof on the place.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not just held up by the air anymore. They got these lines running across it.
You are a true fan going that far to watch your team play. I'm not going to New York for anything. That's not happening. I don't want to.
It wasn't a bad flight. They went about 35 people on the flight, so it wasn't that bad. It's about having the whole plane to yourself.
All right. Well, I said earlier, and I got taken to task by our buddy Beg and Megan, but I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Clemson tonight because I'm not buying the Clemson offense.
I'm not buying it either. And that quarterback that Syracuse has got, man, that's a tough dude.
DeVito, right?
It seems like they got this guy looks like a mountain man out there.
I've got his name in my notes. Schrader, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like a mountain man out there.
Well,
but
we'll see how that works out.
It's gonna be a maybe a 7-10 point game, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see how that works.
But I can't wait to Saturday to see Kentucky beat Georgia and end all hopes for Kirby Smart.
Now, look, I can appreciate.
Come on, Mark Stoops.
I can appreciate you being our field reporter up there from the Orange Dome, or the Carrier Dome. But that's a horrible matchup for Georgia, man. Horrible matchup.
Carrier Dome that doesn't have air conditioning.
That's funny.
Listen, they just got the doors open all around it.
Wow.
You can walk in there.
You know what? Do you follow me on Twitter?
Yeah.
All right,
Follow you on Twitter.
Yeah,
follow you on. Follow Jackpot too. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just walked in the stadium a while ago.
All right, well,
Out on the field.
Can you send me some pictures on Twitter, because I'd like to see that. I bet
I'll
there's going to
send you
be
some
about.
pictures of it.
I think there's going to be about 20,000 people there. I think it's going to be just stupid. There's not going to be anybody there.
Well, the kids said they ain't gonna come until after they had a couple of drinks. That's what they told us. So
Fair enough.
maybe they'll be loud and proud tonight. All right, man. Have a good day, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling.
All
All right, there you go. Scott calling us from he's from Hartsville, but he traveled up to Syracuse to watch the Clemson Syracuse matchup tonight. I know there are hardcore fans out there. I'm not going to Syracuse to watch anything. Let's make sure that we understand that. That's not happening. Quick break. We'll come back on the rundown right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. People are silly. Wait, Rob, why don't you want to go to Syracuse? I want to go to Syracuse. It's all the way out there. Jimmy, I don't know what his record is after a bye week. I got to look that up. Rundown, this is Rob. Yeah, hey, hold on, man. We'll go back on the air here in just about a minute and a half, okay? Hold on. Yeah, I did see where Dawn Staley got. She's getting paid $3 million to coach at South Carolina. I don't know. I don't know about paying any women's coach that amount of money, because I'm a person that believes in you get, it's an issue of return. And I don't know if she brings $3 million back to South Carolina. So she's a great coach. Great coach. I'll give her that. But $3 million a year? Are you crazy? It's a lot of money. Good point there, Colby. $20,000 people and even more syringes. Thank you there, Go Bucks. I will watch some of the Texas Oklahoma State game. Should be good. I'm sorry if women offend you there, Beggin' Megan. Look up how much Beamer makes for football. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Out to the phones we go. Biscuit joins us. What's up, my friend?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm stuck in the movie Groundhog Day, where because I haven't done something right, I'm being punished and having to listen to Hollywood repeat himself every single day, the same thing.
Well, I think he may be under the idea that if he keeps repeating things, that eventually they may happen. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the data out there does not support what he's saying. I mean, Florida's improved as a running team, but thanks to my good friends at the college football nerds, I don't know if you watch those guys at all on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's holding the average production for a team is cut in half by Georgia's run defense. So basically, Georgia's holding people to 54% of their rushing averages.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that to Florida, I don't know what Florida's rushing average is currently, 5.5. That means they're going to be rushing for about 2.75 a carry.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done.
Well,
and they don't have the passing offense to cover Georgia.
My favorite stat of the week involving Georgia and Kentucky, by the way, is that Kentucky has 23 quarterback hurries on the season. Georgia has 109.
I saw that.
I mean, just wrap your head around just that stat for just a second. Now, and I think that Georgia's schedule has been a little bit tougher than Kentucky's schedule has been, but 23 quarterback hurries to 109. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know about the Georgia defense, but
you were talking about Georgia injuries, but they've gotten a couple injuries that they couldn't afford. They're not as deep as Georgia at defensive line position. So with their two defensive linemen being out, that stinks for them. But I mean, they're out. And the situation with Tyke Smith is Tyke Smith barely played this year.
Right.
He played at the end of the Auburn game. He was just getting back, and that stinks that Georgia lost him because it would have been a bonus.
But I don't think they'll feel it, though, right?
Has been playing his position and playing it very well all season. So,
they probably won't feel it, but just on the depth part is the best way to look at that, right? Yeah.
Right. And they found some walk-on kid last week that played really well against Auburn, too. In terms of, I don't agree with Beg and Megan on the call with Clemson and Syracuse. Syracuse is an awkward team to play, and I know exactly what you're saying. What you're not including in that is the travel.
Right.
Having to travel up there on a Friday night and play in the Carrier Dome, and it's very loud. If they have a crowd, I don't know if they've sold out or anything, but if they have a crowd,
our field reporter said that no one was there.
I'll give you that.
So, well, and they are a scrappy team. That's a great way to. I mean, that's a great term to put it there. I mean, and it's not the easiest.
They have moments
of
where they're
matchups.
giant killers. They do.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
sometimes they're not a great program. They used to be really good.
Yeah,
but they're not a great program now.
They're not. You're right about that. Give me a final score for tomorrow with the Georgia game, if you don't mind.
34-6 Georgia.
Okay. Well,
I think what's going to happen is Kentucky's going to come out running the football. Georgia's. I think they'll have some success. I don't think it'll be like holding them to 2 yards. I think they'll have some success. But in order to sustain drives, you can't average like 2.5, 3 yards a carry. And they're going to start throwing, and I think there'll be some turnovers, which Kentucky, quite frankly, is prone to. It'll shorten the field, and there'll be an avalanche of scores. Like Georgia will get it'll be a close game, and then all of a sudden Georgia's going to get 21 points in like 7 minutes, and the game will be over.
Excuse me. All right. Sounds good, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling the program.
Yep.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, there's that. I mean, Beg and Megan's going to learn, man. They're a scrappy bunch up there. Just saying. I think what he's trying to go with is that if Clemson comes out flat and it's a tight game, it won't be Syracuse is scrappy. It'll just be Clemson sucks. I think that's kind of the way that a lot of folks are going to look at it. So there's that. All right, 803-978-1832. By the way, quick contract note here. South Carolina gave Dawn Staley a new contract. She's making $3.2 million a year. Shane Beamer is making $2.75 million a year. Wrap your head around that for just a second. Wow. When you look at it from that perspective. Now, granted, Shane Beamer's they're probably going to doctor up his contract eventually, but Shane Beamer is is coaching at a school right now where I think he's the third highest paid coach, because I think Frank Martin makes more than he does too. So I guess South Carolina's a basketball school. Maybe that's where we're at now. Gamecock fans, feel free to call in on that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. And I'm just saying that from the math. Dawn Staley's great. Great coach. But do you pay her more than you pay your football program? Pay the guy that leads your football program. Optics on that don't look too good. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. Jerome says Frank Martin is a disappointment. And Steve with the comment of the day. Will Muschamp is making more than all of them to coach at Georgia. Wow, that's like knifing somebody when they're on the floor, by the way. Wow. What a mess. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We'll look at some of the other games, including, we'll start with one game here, Michigan State at Indiana. When I look at that, I think Indiana is getting 3 points at home, and everyone's like, man, maybe this is when Indiana's they're gonna pull the upset. I think Michigan State keeps rolling. We'll get into that in a little bit. Let's take one more call before we get out of here for a break. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment about the Kentucky-Georgia game.
Sure.
I think it's going to be the equivalent of my first divorce.
Your first divorce,
You're standing
meaning
in front of the judge,
yeah,
and he's about to give all your stuff away to your ex. You know, you ain't really done wrong. Like Kentucky 6-0, but he shows a little mercy on you. Like Kirby will pull his players when they get up by 3 scores. You know, you're working 2 jobs. You lost 100 pounds. You know, your nerves are like rats fleeing a sinking ship. And I think Kentucky can score late in the fourth quarter, and somehow, you know, it still rips your heart out. But, you know, you just a little moral victory. She didn't get it all. You know, and you just walk around mumbling, and, you know, your perfect season, your perfect marriage is over. But they don't cover. You know, they miss it by like a point or something. But that's my take on the game, and I'll get off here and listen to what you got to say.
Appreciate that. I mean, he brought into it about his first divorce. I've never heard anyone comparing a football game to their first divorce. You win caller of the day, sir. It may end up being like that. We'll have our picks against the spread here in a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have more for you when we come back. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Anybody ever had their game compared to a divorce? My goodness. That's a good question. How many divorces has he endured? That's a very valid question there, sir. Good point, Jimmy. Jerome had the same comment. Yeah. How many divorces have you had? It's like a Taylor Swift song. Like Taylor Swift like dates people, and then all of a sudden she comes out with a new record, and it's all about how the guy screwed her over. Maybe it's her. I say that because I've got daughters that are into Taylor Swift, and everything's about this guy did this guy did that, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're just out there. Could be. Alan says his first divorce cost him nothing. Okay. She must have really hated you to get. I don't want to give him anything. Just tell him to leave. I didn't think you ever got married there, begging Megan. How'd that work out? I thought you could only get married in certain states. My bad. Are the divorce laws the same? I didn't know that. So my wife and I have been together for 18 years now. I'm surprised that she's put up with me that long. I make comments to her like she'll make a pretty good first ex-wife. That's kind of funny too. What kind of lawyer you get for $1,400? What are you getting, like That sounds silly. You just got to wait for the right guy there, Beggin. You'll be good. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We were discussing divorces in the chat. Steve says, Rob has Taylor Swift in his playlist. Yeah, I do. What, are you judging me for having Taylor Swift in my playlist? There's something in everybody's playlist that they're not excited about. I've got daughters. I've got Taylor Swift in my iPhone. Got Nora Jones in my iPhone too. That's for the wife. I mean, you can't live your entire life where you're like the single guy where you've got like the spindle that's like your coffee table and you're sleeping on a futon. Can't do that in your entire life there. I hate to tell you all that. All right. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Tell me why Friday. Why is your team going to win? We'll take calls from Clemson fans. South Carolina's playing Vanderbilt. If you listen to Coach Beamer's press conference, you think that the Vanderbilt offense is great, but they haven't scored in like 3 weeks, which is okay. They're not exactly the best, to be honest with you. But it is an SEC game, and South Carolina's not exactly running away with being a great football team right now. So the line's at 20. We'll have our pick against the spread in a little bit, but maybe that's too high. I don't know. We'll find out. Other things to look forward to this weekend. I wanted to talk a second about Christian McCaffrey. He has been ruled out of the game against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, missing his third straight game, 16 in the last 22 under Coach Matt Rule. I think it's safe to say Christian McCaffrey is fragile. It seems like all the time there's something that's going on with him where he's injured. And by the way, now's the time. I hate to be the guy to do this, but now's the time to trade him because his stock is still high and you might get something else for him because the Panthers have needs across the board, basically. At different spots, they could use some help, obviously. But we'll see how that works out for them. 803-978-1832. Blake says JT Daniels is the one that's fragile. Okay. Go Buck says OSU is going to roll this week against the bye. Funny. One other note on baseball really quick here before we get back into our football stuff. The Atlanta Braves are in the NLCS against the Dodgers. ESPN had like 13 of their writers pick the who they thought was going to win that series. It was like 11-2 with the Dodgers. Like everyone's thinking the Dodgers are the absolute best thing on the planet. Okay. Atlanta Braves team is here you go, Megan. They are scrappy. They're a scrappy bunch, but they have some talent. Pretty good 1, 2, 3 at the top of the rotation there with the old man Charlie Morton, who's 37 years old. Then you go from him into Max Fried and then into Ian Anderson. That's a pretty tough out. And they held the Brewers in check. Not that the Brewers are the greatest team ever, but still, the Braves are going to be all right. We'll see. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Tonight, for that Clemson matchup, a couple of notes on that game. Clemson is they're a 13.5-point favorite right now. They're coming in off a bye week. You could make an argument that Clemson's coming in off that bye week. They're going to fix everything and everybody's going to be all right and they'll roll. You could make an argument that Syracuse basically put everything that they had to try to upset Wake Forest last week, and they lost by a field goal, and they're going to roll over and Clemson will roll them. You could do that. Or you could look at what we do know about Clemson right now. And what we do know about Syracuse has been able to put up some points in just about every game they've played this season, with the exception of the Rutgers matchup. So Clemson is getting used to playing without Brian Brzee. And, of course, Tyler Davis also in the middle of that defensive line. He's out. So Clemson's having to figure out, all right, new plugs to go in there. So will the defense continue to be as dominant as they have been? We'll see about that. But the offense has been just a work in progress. Coach Dad actually said something about Uiagalelei, I think it was yesterday, where he said people are going to be upset when he turns it around. Basically, they're going to look back at all the negative things that they said about him. And when he turns it around, they'll change their tune, is basically the gist of what Coach Sweeney said yesterday. Until he actually goes out there and runs that offense effectively, it's kind of silly to say some stuff like that. But we shall see. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call to get us on the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Go Bucks says, in my opinion, what are some offenses that you believe could score on that ridiculous Georgia defense and make it some kind of game? I think Alabama's offense could do something. I really do. As far as SEC teams, Florida did pretty well against them. I think Florida could do. They did well against Alabama. I think that Florida, they can run the ball and control it. They might be able to do something. Let's see. Let's go off to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
My name's Chad.
Hi, Chad.
How you doing? I'll talk about the Clemson quarterback.
Yeah, what do you got on the Clemson quarterback?
The Clemson quarterback, unfortunately, is human this year. He's not a legendary or once-in-a-lifetime quarterback, and that's what happens when you have human quarterbacks. You have human things happen to them.
Yeah, I think Clemson fans have been spoiled with Watson and Lawrence. And
you think?
Oh, yeah, I really believe that. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, slightly. When you have two, well, hell, they've had 6.5 years of generational quarterbacks.
That's true.
Not good college quarterbacks. We're talking generational quarterbacks.
That's true.
So when you have that back-to-back hand, you get somebody that's ordinary. It's good. Ordinary good. That's what you get.
Well, we'll have to see if he can be a little bit above ordinary, because that offense needs him right now, because they are not very good on that side of the ball.
No, but it starts with him, brother.
Yeah,
he leads it.
You're right about that. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling the show. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
All right, there you go. Yeah, maybe Uiagalelei is human. Who knows? All right, more of the rundown. We come back. Mr. Savage College Football joins us here in a moment on Fox Sports Radio 1400. That's a good point there. There's talk, Steve, that he has like his release point is so long with the way that he throws. I don't know, man. He looks like he just doesn't really command the pocket either. It's like he's constantly wanting to move around. All right, so You want Jake Bentley back there, Jimmy? Is he accountable for 5 touchdowns to the last night? Who did South Alabama beat?
Georgia Southern.
Mm.
That was actually funny. I had 2 friends over at my house that for the game.
Yeah. I'm 706, Caden. That's a fair statement, Jerome. Blake, they're 6-0 with that quarterback, so well, welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I bring in my former intern here who wanted to stop in today and talk some stuff with us. You can follow him on Instagram at Savage. Help me out, brother. What is it?
You can follow me on Instagram at Savage College FB and on Twitter. I'm starting to get back into the Twitter game.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to it, but
Yeah, he's a youngin', so he has to figure out the Twitter. Pull your microphone up so people can hear you there, brother. All right, we're going to pick games against the spread with Mr. Savage College Football. We'll start with the Clemson-Syracuse matchup tonight. The line is at 13.5. I still stand by Syracuse being scrappy. I think that if Clemson starts off well, then they'll probably hold it. But I will probably take Syracuse to cover the 13.5 and Clemson to pick up the win. So give me Syracuse and the 13.5 at home. Which way are you rolling?
I kind of like what you're saying. I feel like Clemson's defense will do good enough to will do. I feel like Clemson will not cover. I feel like Syracuse will stay in it, but I don't believe that they'll do good enough to win the game tonight. So I'm going to get the Tigers by 1 possession.
All right, fair enough. Friday Night Lights, except it's like it's not high school teams. Yeah. Miami's on the road at North Carolina. North Carolina's a 7-point favorite. Man, the mighty have fallen. It was supposed to be North Carolina and Clemson in the ACC championship game. It's supposed to be me and Lawton Swan making our 6th trip in a row up there or something to Charlotte. Yeah, not happening. North Carolina, they're I guess both teams are still in the mix to win their division, but I'd be shocked if that were the matchup. I really, really would. As North Carolina's a 7-point favorite over Miami. I think Miami is floating. I don't think they're that good at all. So give me North Carolina, and I will give up the 7.
Yeah, with the fact that Miami doesn't have De'Aaron King anymore, I don't see them being able to. I see North Carolina winning this, definitely covering. I'm going to say they win by 2 possessions.
All right, Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a 1.5-point favorite. It's a 3:30 kickoff. If it were like the whole Saturday Night Lights thing up there with Inner Sandman and all of that up in Blacksburg, I think Virginia Tech would be a little bit more of a favorite there. Pittsburgh has a sneaky good offense. Their quarterback, Kenny Pickett, is like number 3 on Mel Kiper's draft board. I mean, he's going to be playing on Sundays. You can make an argument he's probably the best quarterback in the ACC. It's not really that far-fetched. But I'm going to roll with Virginia Tech. I think they'll cover, and they'll definitely cover the 1.5, and I think they'll pick up the win there.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one. I think Pitt's going to go and win, and I think they'll cover. Ever since that Western Michigan loss, they've just been rolling, and I'm going to take the Panthers.
When you lose to a directional school from either wherever, it's generally not very good for you. If there's a direction that's east or west in your name, I really have I doubt your ability to play the game of Hud. But Army and Wisconsin is giving up 14 at home. It seems like every year Army has a game where they go and they scare somebody. It was Oklahoma a couple of years ago. I can't remember who it was last year, but Army plays pretty good football. And I think 14 is way too much for all the guys up there at Wisconsin. They may be overlooking those guys, but I think Army will definitely cover the 14.
This is going to be a very defensive matchup. I feel like it's going to be something around like 13-10. I'm going to take Wisconsin, but I do believe that they're overlooking Army, so I'm going to take Wisconsin in a very hard-fought defensive matchup.
All right. Well, the Vanderbilt-South Carolina game, we'll go ahead and pick this now. The Gamecocks are currently an 18-point favorite in this game. Vanderbilt is not very good. I mean, they're not very good at all. I'm going to roll with South Carolina here, even though it's not like the Gamecock offense is setting things on fire, but I just think Vanderbilt is just that bad. I think there's going to be a lot of short fields tomorrow night for South Carolina, and maybe their offense will be able to convert some of that stuff. Get a lot of get the ball in the hands of Josh Vann, and because he seems like he's the only true playmaker they've got on offense right now. And for goodness sakes, give the ball to Kevin Harris. Can we do that, please? Let's work on that down there, Coach Satterfield. I'll take South Carolina and give up the 18. Which way you going there, sir?
I'm going to take South Carolina to win, but for some reason, I just don't have enough faith that they'll cover the spread. I feel like they win by 17.
All right, well, you got that 1 point to play with there. North Carolina State's on the road at Boston College. They are a 3-point favorite over the Eagles. I think NC State wins. I think Boston College is, if they had Djokovic, they would be a much different team. I just think that their quarterback, I think people are getting enough film on him where they can definitely slow him down. So give me NC State, and I'll give up the 3.
I'm going to agree with you on there. On that, NC State's been looking real impressive lately, and I'm gonna say they cover and get a good road win, move up in the rankings.
All right, getting closer and closer to that Atlantic Division title with that win would be the Wolfpack. Texas A&M is playing at Mizzou. Mizzou is really bad, really bad. Mizzou, their defense is horrible. They fired their defensive line coach. Texas A&M is a 10.5-point favorite. The big question here: can they come off that Alabama high and stay high enough to win? Quickly here, I've got Texas A&M to cover.
I'm going to agree with you on there. Aggies definitely cover.
Oklahoma State and Texas. Texas is a 3.5-point favorite. I think they win over Oklahoma State. That 5-0 record doesn't really impress me there with the Cowboys.
You know, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. What did you say the spread was again?
I think it's 3.5.
Okay, I'm going to pick Texas to cover.
Alabama and Mississippi State. Alabama's a 17-point favorite. I think that that game might be interesting, but I'm just going to go with the Crimson Tide coming off a loss. Nick Saban doesn't lose twice in a row very often, so I think they'll win big.
No, he does not, and I'm pretty sure he's kind of angry. So I'm gonna say that the Tide come out and win big.
Kentucky plays at Georgia. Georgia's a 22-point favorite. I think Georgia covers, and I think they win like 42-10.
Really?
Yep. I think that they're going to wear Kentucky out, especially in the third and fourth quarter.
Honestly, I'm going to pick Kentucky to cover. I do think Georgia wins, but I just don't see Kentucky being that dominated. I don't feel like they're getting the respect they deserve, and I feel like Kentucky will go 11-1 with their only loss being tomorrow.
All right, Florida and LSU. We got about a minute left to go here. LSU is a 12-point underdog at home. The line started out at 3.5, and so the money has moved to the side of Florida there. LSU, of course, lost Eli Ricks. I think Florida rolls.
Florida rolls, especially with LSU losing Keyshawn Butte and Derek Stingley.
Hollywood will be calling us up on Monday talking about that big, huge win there. Auburn and Arkansas, 4.5-point favorite is Arkansas. I'm going to roll with Auburn to get the win there.
I'm taking the Razorbacks. Heartbreaking loss to Arkansas, and heartbreaking loss to Ole Miss last week. And with the loss they had last year to Auburn, I'm pretty sure they have revenge on their minds today.
All right, final matchup. Everybody thinks it's going to be a point a minute. 85.5 is the over and under here. Mississippi at Tennessee. Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite. I think that they win by 10 points.
I'll agree with you on there. Rebels win by 2 possessions.
All right. Make sure you follow Savage College Football on Twitter. And also our best Gamecock coverage is tomorrow. Don't forget that on our sister station, News Radio 103.5 FM, WVOC. I'll be doing pre and post game with everyone else out there. And Lawton Swan is next.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
With Clemson Sports Talk. Been a great week. We'll talk to you on Monday on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you later on.